was detained overnight. I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm on the first flight back. So that was... how did we end up talking about that? What were we talking about before?
Oh, people being important.
Oh, yeah, people being important. Yeah, people being important that were supposed to end up with us.
So are there rules about cussing? Because I cuss.
No.
Okay.
Cuss however much you want.
I'll try my best.
Just try to stay like close to the mic is all.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's already started recording, so
snap.
people are going to know that you have a foul mouth.
A dirty pirate. dirty pirate mouth.
Yeah, I feel with people, it's either they have like a really foul mouth and they don't control it, or they're just very good with their words and they don't use any like foul language at all. Really? I'm on the former. I have a very foul mouth.
I just can't control it. Like, that's good. I'll cuss in front of children.
Oh, okay, that's a little.
I try not to, but sometimes it just comes out.
Yeah, no, that one I try to make.
Yeah, because that's why I'm not allowed in Disneyland anymore. I'm just like.
Are you really not allowed?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay, damn, I wish that would have been such
I banned myself.
That would have taken the whole episode's worth of just to find out how you got banned.
How I got banned from Disney. I mean, it could happen.
Well, the foul mouth I know translates to the memes half the time that you post, so it's like
I know.
That's bad. They're wild. They're wild, and even on your Instagram you have Meme Lord.
I do. Sometimes I wonder, like, I get memes. I'm like, is this too extreme? And sometimes I'm just in the mood. I'm like, I just don't even care.
Yeah. Oh my
God.
Even care. I can only imagine the ones that you don't post.
I just want to stir the pot. Yeah. I mean, you just need to be careful. Like, some people get offended easily.
A lot.
Like,
of people
there's
get
like
offended.
tiers of memes. Like, I have specific people. I'm like, okay, I can show them these kind of memes. Mm-hmm. Some people I'm like, I can't show these kind of memes, but you know.
God, oh wow, you tailor your memes to a specific audience.
I'm like a meme supplier.
A meme supplier, a meme lord. Got it. Well, how has that like worked with you, or how has that like not affected, but how has that like translated to like social media? Because I mean, from just right off the bat, you and I are meeting each other for the first time. We know each other through social media, and we know X amount about each other because of the way that the things you post, the things I post. So how was how the memes and the vulgarity of the memes affected you personally, I guess?
I mean, for me, it's just kind of a silly way to relate to other people.
Yeah.
It's like memes, they kind of bring up like weird things that we do as human beings that like we don't normally talk about in normal conversation. So it's just a quick way to be like, oh, huh, yeah, I do that too, or just like get a laugh out of people.
A lot of people are tabooed about a lot of stuff. So to just like slide it in a meme with a photo of somebody else.
Exactly. It's like, hey, I see you're an undercover freak like me.
Yeah, but you're just like putting it out there for a lot of people to see.
I like to say I'm a freak in the streets, but a lady in the sheets.
Oh, you're flipping the script.
I am.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's
people are very disappointed when they meet me in real life. They're like, what about these wild memes? I'm like, yeah, I go to bed at 9 p.m.
It just
sometimes.
makes me laugh. It just it's just a quick little thing for you. You put it out. It doesn't really, but it affects a lot of other people. People don't know how to handle it.
They don't.
That's the thing with social. I'm sure get left and right. Every time you post one of those things, people are just like flooding the DMs.
Oh,
hey,
it's hilarious.
So what about me? I'm included.
They're like,
this.
so why did you post this? What are you trying to say? I'm like, I'm just throwing it out. Just throwing it out there.
So you're coming from Orange County, OC, and I'm curious because I get a lot of different. I guess it's in the eye of the beholder, but how's the scene out there? How's the industry, the scene, the sound
for house music?
In your opinion, of course.
It's. I would say it's kind of lacking. I mean, there's not as many house heads out there as there are in LA, and obviously it's a smaller area. In my experience, I feel like a lot of events struggle to like keep people there, or like they eventually turn to open format because that's just kind of what people want out there.
Really? That's more like the kind of thing where people are just like open format kind of have it.
So, and like if there's a new venue, like I know some friends like they've tried to start a house event out there, and then it just it can't like stay. I don't know if it's like they're doing it too much or not, but there's some solid spots. You just need to find the right place. Like Focus is doing well. Brussels and Laguna does well. Le Cave. They kind of have like a consistent crowd. Yeah,
they've been doing it for a while too. I'm familiar with Focus. We actually did a show at Le Cave like once, like a couple of years ago, and I think it's tough. I feel like the city itself is the reason why it's kind of tough to hold something like that, because LA is just. I don't know what it is. I mean, LA is LA, so it's kind of like hard to pinpoint what exactly is keeping people out. But I guess just Orange County, the scene, people aren't looking for it as much, or if they are looking for it, they come here.
Well, cops are also like total cock blocks in Orange County. Like I feel like security, police, like they make it so difficult to just throw events that there's so many restrictions and like obstacles people have to go over. They just like would rather come out here.
Yeah. Even in like the above ground, or is it mostly like, do they give people shit if they're doing it at like a club or something from 9 to 2 a.m. or is it the after hours that they give shit for, if that even happens there?
There is one after hours actually my friend runs, which
Nice.
is rare. It's actually in Lake Forest, which is kind of
that's what I'm hearing about it for the first time. So it's good
so
that there's something out there.
It's possible. It's just it's harder out there, you know, because
Yeah.
like here we have so many buildings, like so many secret spots. Like
That's true.
Orange County is a lot more spread out, so anything you have going on is more noticeable, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, everything here, as far as like warehouses, it's all in the industrial district in downtown, so cops aren't really gonna. And I mean, I think they do know about it.
Or
too.
there's just so many. They're like, yeah, whatever.
Which one do we want to get to first?
Yeah.
Because on any given night here in LA, there's like 6 or 7 parties.
Oh my gosh, there's like it's almost overwhelming. I feel like I'd be totally overwhelmed living here.
No, it is overwhelming. It's not that it's like. There's just, especially being like someone that's like trying to host or a DJ that's trying to do something, it's really, there's just so much. It's like very saturated. I say this so much, and I hate to say that it's oversaturated because I appreciate it because I'm a part of it, but there's just, it's hard to like manage. It's hard to navigate. There's different sounds. All the genres and subgenres of house music are like happening here at the same time.
Plus like events competing with one another. It's like to throw an event out here, I feel like must be so difficult. That's why Orange County, like, I hope it's not like wishful thinking, but I do feel like we can build like a strong community out there. There are a lot of people that love house. You know, you see the same people out and about, like they do exist. It's just a matter of finding the right place and.
Yeah, I wonder what could be the difference maker. Because I mean, if you're saying there, like you know the place personally because you live there, so you know that if there is enough demand for it, it'll come. But I mean, Focus is doing a great job. Lacav's been doing it for years, but I don't know. I don't know what to do, what to say to help you guys out there.
Focus actually opened a new venue on Friday nights too, a 21 and over in Costa Mesa, and they're like killing.
It was not 21 and over before. It was 18
no, it's 18 and over on Tuesdays, and they still have that
Tuesdays. Fuck, Tuesday in Orange County.
Right? I know, but people come out.
Who would have thought?
People come out.
Well, Lacav is Wednesdays.
It is. And it's funny because it's not like people don't go out. Because I'll go to like a Taco Tuesday at some Sharky's or whatever the hell, and there's like so many people there. Even though it's like an open format gig, it's like people go out all days of the week. Yeah. So
I think you guys just got to try to figure out how to centralize them and bring them to either the new space or whatever it is you're trying to do. Well, why not try something on like a Friday or a Saturday?
You could. It's just a matter of like who you're competing with too, because Focus Fridays is like the new big thing.
Fridays. Oh, okay, so
Brussels,
it's Tuesdays,
Friday.
Got it.
Like Legacy is a new club where that's actually where the old Focus used to be. Not the same venue, but the same area. Tapas. Around that area. But that's like they started house, and that's like a prime example of like how they started slowly moving into open format. Cause it's just the crowd. I don't know.
Jeez, hey, whatever works for you guys. But if you have a grasp on it, maybe you should host your own night on a Saturday.
Jesus.
No, isn't that not? You got too much going on with the DJ.
I think I do.
Okay, that's good. It's better to be busy
like
than
I'd
bored.
love to help out, but oh my god, I am so busy.
Well, talk to me about Red 5. Where did you get the name? Why that?
It's actually a Star Wars reference.
Okay.
I wanted something kind of ambiguous, like not giving away if I'm a male or female.
Okay. I do want to talk about that when we get through the naming explanation.
Yeah, not that it's bad to like be female,
no.
But I like Star Wars. I'm a huge nerd, so it's a Star Wars reference. I'm not actually like super attached to the name. I was thinking of a name change once I start getting really into producing, but it's like a fun little whatever. Like,
I'm not familiar with the reference.
Oh,
with the Star Wars.
My
reference.
bad. So Luke Skywalker, that was his call sign. He was in the Red Rebellion fleet, and he was Red 5 in the movies.
Okay.
So
now it all makes sense.
Yes.
This is a very unpopular opinion. After the original Star Wars movies, the Harrison Fords, it didn't do it for me.
Really?
And my friends give me shit about it all the time. But once I saw Hayden Christensen, I couldn't. I've always had a thing with like watching movies, and let's say it's like Star Wars, which is this really genius concept, and then I see someone that I recognize from like a show that was garbage, and I saw Ewan McGregor, which I think is a great fit for it, but. It just didn't. I don't like seeing that.
I mean, his beard is so majestic. I know. How can you like?
No. I liked him. He was good. But I saw Hayden Christensen, and it ruined it for me. Star Wars. I never.
Really?
Yeah, I was more of a Lord of the Rings.
I think Jar Jar Binks was a mistake.
You think he was a mistake? I love Jar Jar Binks. I think he was underrated.
You would like him. No, I didn't have problems with episodes 1 through 3. It was like actually the newest trilogy, like the ones that are coming out, Force Awakens, that I think are like god awful.
You think they missed the mark? Yeah,
absolutely. And like it messed with me because Rogue One came out. I was like, holy shit, this is like one of the best Star Wars movies ever. And then they come back with like Last Jedi or whatever the hell. I'm like, oh, okay.
And then there's one coming out. The last one?
I hate to say this, but I'm like not even excited about it. I'm like, do I even go?
You've seen all of them up until now? I think you should just watch it. Just watch it, and then you can be like, I'm done. I was disappointed. Or pleasantly surprised. Hopefully pleasantly surprised, but...
Usually I have low standards for everything in my life, but I mean...
Except for memes, good memes. But...
Yeah, except for memes, I gotta...
Yeah. Oh my god, that's... Yeah. I mean, a name change and you sticking it to a movie, I think... going back to what we were saying as far as like you wanted to pick an ambiguous name so that people who were booking you weren't shooting. Why is that specifically?
So there may be disagreement when I say this, but I personally feel that there's sometimes a stigma towards female DJs in the scene. And it is... I've not been doing this in a long time, but I've already experienced like... like sexism and misogyny, and I don't want people to judge me in my music based on whether or not I'm female, whether that be a good or a bad judgment. I just want them to like focus on my music, for like not not book me because I'm a chick, or not like download my music just because I'm a chick. It's like, no, I'm just like this artist. Yeah, and
it sucks to hear that. It sucks to hear that you have to even deal with that kind of issue.
Right? Yeah, it's pretty awful. I mean, I've dealt with some like pretty horrible things being a female, and it's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
Is it you? Do you mind? What are the things that you dealt with?
So, I mean, one instance that really stands out. I've had my ass grabbed on stage.
Get out of here.
Mid-set.
Just by a random person that's walking around?
Yeah, dude. Fuck. It was super awkward. And then, I mean, I've had conversations with people, like promoters, and they're like talking about the event, and then we're like, okay, like, what's the set time? What's this? Sure. Oh, so are you single? And I'm just like, dude, like.
So they use that as an opportunity to kind of. Yeah. Oh man, that puts like such a negative thing for the scene, like for
Sorry, knocked over my water.
Are you okay?
I mean, it's not pouring everywhere, so we're good.
Hey, if you need it, we can take a break and you can get your water. But if not, it's fine. As someone that like does the bookings, and again, from me being here in LA, I personally have not seen too much of that, and maybe because I'm a male promoter and I'm not having it like happen to me, but I don't see too much of that happening, and it sucks to hear that it does happen at all.
And it does suck because I try not to apply those situations to like the whole scene, but sometimes, I mean, if things happen so close together, I'm like, is this how it is? Like how the world is? Like, God, I remember someone that used to be close to me in the scene. He told me one day, he was like, just let you know, you're not getting any gigs because of your talent. It's because you're a hot chick, and that's how it's always going to be.
Oof, that guy's a shitty person. That's you said used to be close to, which is good.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to be close with people like that,
and like
that's absurd.
That sucks. Like, I would hope no one's ever judged like just based on their gender. It's like you're an artist and you're creating art for people. Yeah. Like, why does it matter if I'm a girl or a guy or other? Like,
It doesn't, and it shouldn't. And I think the people that are not in it. I mean, a lot of people like host parties because they would like to have fun. A lot of people host parties because they want to be a part of the scene, but there's no like long-term goal. They don't care about the brand that they're representing. They're kind of just doing it for themselves to show like, hey, I'm doing this too, or I'm because everybody's a DJ. Everybody has a collective. Everybody's doing parties. That's why it's so like saturated here in LA. But it's fucking annoying, and it like waters down the quality of like promoters, and it waters down the effect that it has on like female artists and male artists, and it's stupid, and it sucks to hear. So I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
That's why I have my memes.
That's why you
get me through the hard times.
But you're putting them on social media, so people that are looking to book, they check social media.
Yes.
But then they also listen to the music too, so I think you'll be fine. Yeah. How do you even like? What happens when that happens in the middle of the set? Aside from like turning around and throwing.
Oh, getting my. I was actually surprised because normally I probably would have decked that person in the face.
As you should.
But that specific instance, a bunch of girls were on stage.
Okay.
Dancing. So for a half second, I'm like, what if that was just a chick? I'm not gonna deck some chick in the face. Yeah. And then I looked around, this guy, like, the creepy ass smile, like, oh, it was so gross. No. I had to go to church
to make
right
you relive that. No,
I know. I'm like, I need a shower. Oh God. And then by the time I was like, hey, what the hell? Like, the security ripped them off.
Good.
So I hope that never happens. But if it does, I'll probably like punch them next time.
I think you have every right to. I think that's there's limits where it's like, hey, I'm booking you, blah blah blah. Oh, and like, are you single? Maybe that can be more of like, okay, I get it, like, but to actually like physically assault you, that's too much.
Stuff like that makes me scared. Like, if I get booked in LA and I can't find someone to come with me, like coming up here by myself for a show, like. I have not had to do that many times, but it's always, like, scary in the back of my mind. Like, who's going to walk me to my car? Like, who are these people even I barely know, like, these promoters?
So this happened in OC, your situation.
Yeah.
Okay. In my experience in LA in 4 years, I haven't seen anything like that happen, thankfully. And I think you always you'll always have someone here, especially being, again, on the benefit of being on social media is you can always reach out. Hey, anybody in LA, let's say you are coming up here alone. You're like, hey, I'm going to be in this area, going to this party. Anybody there? Security can always walk you to your car. So I think it's not as, like, I totally understand the fear for it. And it's, again, it sucks to hear that you have that fear.
I hate thinking like that, but sometimes I can't help but think that after, like, such, like, experiences.
Yeah, that's, man. Doesn't happen often. Shouldn't happen ever.
Yes, never.
Motherfuckers, whoever is listening out here that goes to these shows, stop fucking it up for the rest of us. Yeah, it gets really bad. So how long have you been doing it? How long have you been DJing?
It's been 2 years officially this past October. And before that, I was learning how to DJ for about 9 months.
Okay, so 9 months, but then really got
like
into
officially
it, like,
playing out
2 years. Yeah. Have you seen much of like a difference from like the female being like the female presence in the industry, and whether it's in OC or it's here in LA or it's globally
the
or
world?
Just because I know it's blown up,
and it's exciting because when I first started, you know, I had those instances happen like pretty early in my DJ career. And it's actually funny. I am, well, it's not funny. That's a poor choice of words.
You started with it, so.
There was a time where I actually thought about stopping. So I'm like, is this just how the scene is? Yeah. Like, you know, totally lame. And, you know, when I used to model, like, people judge me for that too, like, model a DJ. And I get it, right? Like, I'm not like.
What's the judgment from them?
Like a lot of people think like, oh, like this chick thinks she's hot, like trying to DJ, like Paris Hilton or something. Sure. And I get it, but it's also not true.
Right.
So it kind of sucked to be judged like that. But anyway, I was really thinking of quitting, and I had a conversation with Jaren Love at Le Cave, actually. And this was like the first time meeting her, and she sat down with me for like almost an hour, had a glass of wine, like talking, like, you know, building me up. And ever since then, I'm like, wow, I want to be that female, like, presence for someone else who's struggling, like, you know, sisterhood. We got to
of course
come together. I have never really felt like competition or jealousy, like, in the sense I wouldn't support other females. Like, of course, as an artist, you're always like, oh, they're a little better than me. But you know what I mean?
Sure. Like, hey, that's fair. That's regular. That's healthy competition. I mean, as far as, like, mentally, like, I get it. That's in, like, any sport or anything else.
So, yeah, and it's exciting to see that females are doing so, like Peggy Goo, Honey Dijon. Like, it's inspiring and motivating that, like, females are finally being given, like, respect and a platform that finally succeed. Yeah,
it's come, like, leaps and bounds as far as, like, where it was, like, a largely male-dominated field. And now the female presence as an art. I mean, an artist is an artist. That's my opinion. An artist is an artist, whether it's male or female, exactly how you were saying, like, to be ambiguous behind the scenes to where nobody's really seeing you and it's just your music and your DJing and your sound and how you take care of the crowd. That's way more important.
Yes.
That's way more important. I mean, I'm glad you had Yareen there when you were going to quit. Rest in peace, Yareen, of course.
Yeah, I mean, oh, God, that hit me very hard. And, like, that's saying, like, I barely even knew her. She had such an impact on my life. I just, since that point, have always wanted to support other artists, other women, like, especially. We need a lot of that in our scene.
I agree. It sounds like that was a very important, like, she was there for you at the right time.
Yeah.
She was not someone that I've met. It's funny, not funny at all. It's
You did it too.
I know it's
like a saying.
It's just it's like
yeah.
that's just how I talk. Whatever, and I talk with my hands all the time. Whatever. I didn't know her in person. I knew her on social media, and that's just kind of how it was with a lot of other people. With you and I, let's say for example, and she just everyone loved her, and all the people that were close to her, like Juliet Mendoza was on the podcast, and she was talking about her, and that was tough. But she was a pillar in like local female like scene, and she created a lot of like empowerment in a lot of the like female artists that I know personally. So I'm glad. I didn't know how far her reach was, but she got all the way to you and to help you out, which is good.
It's some shit.
Yeah, don't quit. You got to keep going. But I like the idea of that.
I know. I'd say I'm a very like emotional person, so it is hard sometimes, like battling those inner demons and stuff. I'm sure. Especially as an artist, I feel like I experience both sides of the spectrum very intensely, good and bad. So
yeah, what's the good? If we're gonna talk about the bad, we got to talk about the good.
That's true. I mean, just believing yourself, like making something and like actually thinking like, hey, maybe I can do this. Like, getting into music production, I'm like, maybe I can succeed, or wow, this mix was good, and not like beating myself up about it. Yeah.
Well, you've been doing it a couple of years now, so I feel like even your own internal like sound has developed over the past couple of years. So producing is definitely possible. I mean, for me, it's not. I don't think, because I don't DJ. I don't have that music connect that most people do. But producing is time consuming, to my understanding. Oh yeah, for sure. So
I'm living that life so hardcore. Yeah. Like I was telling you earlier, like when I first started DJing, I was so about going out all the time. I'm like, I don't know if I could ever produce because I love going out. And now I'm like, I just want to eat my frozen pizza and sit in my underwear and work on Ableton for hours and not talk to people.
You're better off that way. You're not as tired. You're not as mentally drained from having to go out and not wanting to be there.
Exactly. Like I haven't really been drinking either, because if I'm hungover, that takes away from the next day I could be spending on Ableton.
Yes, on Ableton. It's not drinking so that tomorrow you can work.
Yeah, because when I'm hungover, I seriously like can't do anything. I get it so bad. Like I don't know how people can function like hungover. I can't. It kind of like irritates me. Like some of my coworkers are like, we went out till 2 a.m. last night, and like there's back at work at 8 a.m. like normal people. I'm like, I can't even like talk to people when I'm hungover. Like
I don't understand. I mean, just if we're gonna talk about people going out and staying out too late, I do not understand how the fuck most of you motherfuckers go out and party the way that they do. I mean, we're not young anymore. We're not as young as we used to. I don't know how old are you?
I just turned 27.
You can like tell the
27.
27. Yeah. Okay. So we're not as young as we used to be. And when we were first going out like all the time, it was like fine because we can not have a hangover, and even the hangover wouldn't last that long. But now
it's like an all-day hangover for me. And I thought this would happen in my 30s, but I'm like 27 and getting all-day hangovers. I'm like, I didn't think this would happen so fast.
Oh yeah. Well, if we weren't part of the industry, if we weren't part of the scene, it may have kind of not happened so recently.
But did I wreck my body?
Yeah, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, you've been doing this for almost 3 years now, going out nonstop. Yeah, of course. That's and unfair. The drinking. It's just it's kind of unfortunate how the drinking and the partying, like the partying ties in with going out, where people are almost not used to just going out and, let's say, DJing, or just going out and going to a party and dancing and having like a drink or two. It really has to get to that level for
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually something I've been thinking about a lot lately. I feel a lot of people don't come to events because they're like, oh, I got work tomorrow. And it's like because they already assume that if they go out, they have to get like crazy fucked up. Yep. And I've been thinking to myself, like, you don't need that. Like, I did a full month sober in February, like, just to do it. And, I went and saw Lee Foss. I actually went to Crossed. Okay. Sober. Yeah. So, it's possible. Like, I'm not going to say I've never partied before. Yeah. My dad won't watch, right? Sorry, Dad. No, but yeah, like you don't have to get like crazy fucked up, and people don't realize that you can just like go out and like enjoy the music. And if I feel like if more people understood that, or at least tried, maybe more people will come out to events. And like,
I think more people would come out to events, but I think some of those people might realize like, hey, I actually don't like this music. That's what I've realized a lot, because Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't. I don't care.
God.
I'll say it. I don't think every party that like happens here has good music. I'll be the first one to say 80% of the shit that I hear when I go out is not favorable to me. This is just my personal opinion. Yeah. Fuck off. Whatever. This is my own personal opinion, and I just feel like people are not there for the music. They're not there for the collective. They're not there for the party or the community or the culture. People are there because they want to get fucked up.
That's very true.
Yeah. And
sometimes I've been fucked up at a show, and I've like, wow, this is like the best set I've ever heard in my life. And then I like find that recorded set a month later. I'm like, these are just wobbles
make my
and
point.
noises.
Exactly. I
know, but I'm biased. I like to think my music is actually good sober, but then again, I'm biased. So.
Yeah, I like to think this show's good, and I'm fucking biased. So whatever. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, but it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I mean, I hope. I mean, I've talked a lot about like mental health in here, and just I mean on the podcast, and having the scene like it really. I don't know if it's gotten better or if it's gotten worse, but it's at a very. I mean, there've been a lot of. Whatever. There's been a lot of deaths lately in the last 2 years of people who are. It's just they take it too far, or they just get themselves from just continual abuse. They get to a point where mentally you're not stable because you're just so reliant on it, and it sucks.
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, I haven't been in the scene for too long, but even just looking at society in general, I'd like to think we're moving in a more positive direction. Like people aren't just like saying, well, think positively, like as if I've never thought of that. Like thank
the revelation,
you. And they're actually, trying to learn more about mental health, and I'm pretty vocal about it. Like, I'm a psych major, so I have no filter on what I say, and I overshare.
That's perfect for this show. That's perfect for this show.
I'm just like a total open book, and I mean, I've struggled with depression since I was like 9 years old, and used to have like crazy anxiety, and I'm very vocal about it, and it is disheartening. Like when people are like, it's almost like an attitude where, oh, we understand you have depression, but have it over there, like away from us.
Oof,
and
that's how you felt it.
That's how I continue to feel, and especially being a DJ, people expect you to be the life of the party. They're like, hey, you're the fun one. And then when you're sad, they're like, oh, we don't like you when you're sad. Come back when you're happy and stuff. And
fuck them. Those are the people that don't know what.
And
they don't know what they like. They go out for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and it sucks because I'm gonna get a little deep here, but when people end up committing suicide, a lot of the response is like, I wish they had said something. But then when people who are depressed say something, they are met with criticism like, oh, like, stop feeling sorry for yourself, or why aren't you grateful? Look at you have a roof over your head. It's like,
that's silly.
It sucks because it's not that people with depression aren't grateful or anything. It's like it literally does not change anything, like thinking about those things. And that's what causes like the stress about having mental health. And I do think it is getting better though. Like more people are trying to like understand it and like acknowledge it in the scene especially. And like I think it is important to take breaks and like take sobriety breaks.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm doing right now. I haven't drank in like a week, like hard partying. I'm just trying to focus on like getting my health together.
It's good. It's good for you. It's better for you.
Yeah,
because you're the consistent like going out and the consistent being a part of something that's as demanding. I mean, a lot of people think of like our industry and they think like, oh, it's music, it's partying, it's fun, it's not that much work, it's fine, but it's exhausting.
Oh
it's even more exhausting because you have your whole day. You wake up, you do your whole day, you work, you do your whatever it is, and then you go out at night and then you party harder, and you're more physically. You're taking a toll on your body more at night than you are during the day, and then you like crash.
Yeah,
and go to sleep.
I have been so run down. It was like a big wake up call. I had an entire day where I couldn't even leave my room. I was like, dude, I am so like worn out.
Yeah.
So.
And you start to feel like, I mean, I've had a lot of those times where I just go out so much, and then I'll take a weekend off, and I feel like, fuck, I'm missing out, or fuck, like, should I be out, or should I do this? And I hate that feeling.
I hate that.
I hate that because I don't think that's fair for us, like for people who want to just kind of like stay in and not do something.
If you're like, oh, you're staying in, come on, don't be lame. I'm like, what about the past like 30 weeks in a row I've been out, bitch?
Like, exactly. They don't see that because they're always like, I'm here now, and I want to party today, and I want to party today, and I want to party today.
And it doesn't mean like. a lot. You got to be careful too, because sometimes I'll tell people like, yeah, I'm like not drinking tonight, and they take offense to it, like, oh, you think like you're better than me. It's
really?
like,
who do you hang out with? Fuck
fuckers.
These people. Yeah, that sounds hard. That sounds terrible.
I know. I'm trying to rethink my inner circle lately, but
we're trying to shed some light and help you out.
It's funny, like when I especially when I'm in school too, like I'll be like, hey, I need to like stay and do homework. They're like, loser. Like
the complete opposite. Literally the complete opposite.
What are you talking about? Like, so
yeah.
I should like go get drunk instead of like do my final. What are you smoking, bro?
No, don't do that. Oh, you don't want to know it. They're probably smoking some.
All the stuff.
Yeah, all the stuff.
Yeah.
All the shit that you shouldn't be smoking. Anyway, that's a whole nother. I don't need to keep fucking harping on it. They get it for whoever's listening.
Hey, whoever's listening, my parents.
Hey, mom and dad. Sorry to bring this up, but it's important. So
it's important. I think after I started getting my tattoos, my dad was like, shit. All right.
And at that point, did you get that whole thing in one go, or was it? Did you
no,
get it in pieces?
It was pieces. It's like the first one on my shoulder blade, ankle, and then this started piece by piece, and then slowly. I mean, it was a freaking process.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Plus, like the money, I didn't have all the money at once, so it was like it probably took me like, God, how old am I? I'm old. 5 years.
27?
5 years.
5 years? Yeah.
Overall.
That sounds about right. And then, so is it like you got the pieces and then eventually you just kind of linked it in with the, got it. Okay. Because
exactly.
I have this, I have one on my ankle, and I want my whole, I never wanted to get like a huge piece to cover it. And I do kind of want to I want to stick to the left side of my body. I don't know fucking why, but whatever. And I kind of want.
the good side of your body?
Just, it is.
That's why I got it on this side. This is a good side of my face.
I'm sorry I have you positioned facing. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
If I were to kind of check with people, hey, what's your good side, and then position it, the show would be a mess. So we make it work.
I think most people don't care. That's what modeling has done to my brain. It's
you
ruined me.
You know your good sides. You know where you want to stand.
It's god-awful.
We're getting you out of your comfort zone here, so it's good. We're making you.
How dare you?
We're getting you on the edge of your seat. Yeah, I was saying I want to get like pieces at a time, and then I guess eventually when I have enough of it, find a way to kind of link it up as a sleeve.
It'll come together.
Yeah.
I mean, I had really no plan when I first started this. I originally thought I just wanted the pieces and no filler, but then I was like, no, I just want like a solid like blue arm.
Solid blue arm. Well, now you got it.
Now
you can't get rid of it. So your dad eventually was just
can't?
like, no, you can. It would probably cost like 3 times as much, I think.
Oh,
to
God,
get
that would hurt so bad.
Yeah, I know it would hurt.
I always fuck with my grandma because every time I see her, she's like, it's still there. I'm like, Grandma, I've been trying to scrub it off. I don't know. I'm using the wrong soap or something. Goddamn.
She'll recommend a home remedy. It'll get it off in no time.
Watch it like would actually come off. She's Lithuanian. I swear she's like into witchcraft too. She'd figure it out. So I don't even want to mess with it.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah, don't fuck with Grandma, dude.
Yeah, no, witchcraft. I mean, grandmas, too, but.
I played the 5th, so.
Oh, you're into witchcraft.
No.
And wizardry.
Wizardry,
That was a Harry Potter reference. So
we
talked about Star Wars.
Sick Harry Potter reference.
Star Wars references I'm not too good at. Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings I got.
Really? I'm definitely the opposite. I like those, but not enough to like
what's your like movie? Are you big like horror and gore and that kind of movie, or are you more in like fantasy and
It's funny, I swear I'm like some sort of masochist because I love horror movies, but they freak me out to the point where I cannot sleep. And people are like, why do you do that to yourself?
And
I'm
you
like,
watch it?
It's some weird form of masochism, I swear to God. Like,
is it like spooky horror movies, like where you get like jumpy kind of scared,
everything.
or is it gory?
I am a huge God. Yeah. I know. See, like I'll also watch it and like have that reaction. I'm like, what is wrong with me?
I'm not good with scary movies. I'm a wuss.
Really?
Maybe not. I haven't. When I was, oh my God, it was terrible. When I was younger, I used to have like a buddy's house that I would go and just, whatever, have sleepovers. And he would put on every time his fucking family would put on a scary movie. And I would have to call my mom, hey mom, I can't sleep over anymore. They're watching fucking, because it's always like where everyone would fall asleep first and then I'm left awake you're going to do this and then go to sleep. Yeah, that's
happened to me at sleepovers too. Like I remember I watched The Ring at a sleepover and I couldn't sleep and they had like curtains that looked like the white dress. Like to this day that movie fucks with me.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched that movie.
But also I wouldn't say that's like my favorite genre. I couldn't even say because I like really like weird movies. Like my favorite movie ever is called John Dies at the End.
John Dies at the End.
It's so weird. Like it has horror elements but it, like also sci-fi. It's just a comedy, like a dark comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A dark comedy.
I would say, like, it's just fucking weird. It's a weird movie. You should check it out.
Okay, the only one I know is John Tucker Must Die. That's what I thought you were talking about.
No, John Dies at the End.
John Dies at the End.
It's silly, but it's just weird. I'm like, if I were made into a movie, like, this would be it.
Memes and all.
It's like a living meme. I am a living meme.
Story of our lives. Tell me about it. Good. Do you have any plans are you going to try to keep it out in OC? Do you think you're going to try to come out to LA more often? How do you kind of structure your bookings, where you spend your nights, your weekends?
I'm trying to be more picky about it. Mm-hmm. You know, the last couple of years, I feel like I've been just trying to pick up shows wherever and whenever. But now I'm trying to have more of a strategy. Good. And, you know, now that I'm, like, making music, I don't have the time to just pick up any random show. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, it's for, like, a friend's event. Like, I'll try to, like, you know, hook it up. But, you know, I don't want to play, like, too many shows in Orange County too close together. And you think about, like, how many people you can get to one show. And, like, you know, San Diego, L.A., Orange County, like, those are different, you know, cities, obviously. So you don't have to worry about, like, oversaturating, like, yourself. Yeah. So I do have plans to be more in LA. I don't think I could ever live here because I like having parking spots. Oh, yeah. I drive 6 shift, so it's a nightmare.
Really? Why do you drive 6 shift? You spent an hour in traffic just...
I just feel, you know what's hilarious? I actually learned 6 shift to impress an ex-boyfriend of mine because he was so into cars. And I was in high school. I'm like, oh, yeah, 6 shift, like, won't be too hard. Like... so difficult to learn. I almost disowned myself from my family because me and my dad, like, oh my god, I almost disowned myself as his daughter.
But you got it down.
I did.
You got it down.
But I don't know. Like, now that I've been doing it for years, I just feel like I have more control over the car.
You do. Yeah, you have more control of the car, more control of the speed. Yeah. But it's like to brake, and then you're in traffic, and if you go up hills and down hills.
But it is a real skill to learn how to, like, drive 6 shift and eat at the same time.
Okay. Like, now you're just asking for it. Like, what? Burger? Driving like, stick?
Double fisting. Wait.
No, you could, it's just...
Well, whatever. If you've seen my memes, I mean, you can only...
Follow her at IamRed5 on Instagram to catch all the dirty memes.
All the lit memes.
All the lit memes.
Dude, like the ones I just posted today is...
Saw those.
It doesn't mean they, like, directly apply to me, but... God, I love posting wild shit.
But you think they don't direct, like,
they probably do. Apply? I think the funny thing is, like, they do. At least.
No, it works. It's just other people. I mean, again, with social media, you're gonna get people that hide behind their phones and the people that hide behind, like, a profile that has, like, no activity. So when they are following you and they see those memes or whatever, that gives them, like, they always feel like, oh, well, it's not true, but they always feel like, oh, she wants.
They probably think I'm some crazy nympho.
Probably.
And sometimes that's true, depending on the time of year.
It's a yearly thing.
Well, it's like Scorpio season.
What's that? A Scorpio season that happens in Scorpio season.
I
gotta stay in. I gotta stay indoors. You were recently. Sorry, we're getting all over the place here, but you were recently at ADEs, just speaking on, like, how you have your. Like, booking structured, and you have 5 gigs out there that you had booked over 3 days.
Well,
tell me about the show. How was that?
ADE was a very interesting experience because I went out with a group I'm no longer with.
Okay, a group you're no longer with, is in, like, friends, or is in like a sound collective?
A label.
Okay.
And so the beginning of the trip was negative, in the sense that there was underlying drama that had nothing to do with me that was put on me. And I ended up leaving the label because I was like, well, you know, this is not in line with my goals. And I don't want to sacrifice my music opportunities because of personal issues of someone else.
Preach.
So I ended up leaving that label. And I felt like most of the week I didn't really get to experience much of ADE. But the rest of the weekend I reached out to some people on Facebook from America. And I was like, hey, what are you guys doing? I'm, like, on my own. And I wish I could have used the rest of the week, like, to really explore. Because it's such an awesome city. It was just, like, so clouded with, like, what was going on.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I am looking forward to, like, going next year. But in that, like, a lot of my gigs were dropped because of that. Or, you know, I played to, like, an empty room. And that's fine. Like, you know, I hate to be, like, negative. But... yeah, like, you know, I did DJ in another country, and while it was, like, to very few people, it was still super cool. Yeah. And getting to just be surrounded by other people in the industry, just walking out. Like, I literally just ran into Angelo Ferreri. Just like, you're Angelo Ferreri. Holy shit. Okay, have a good trip. Like, it was just so, like, surreal.
So there's good there's good with the bad. So
Yes.
again, with the whole playing to an empty room, with all the DJs that I know, it happens, and it's like I totally get like as much as it's like you want to play to that's not your most ideal setting.
You have to work up to that though. I'm trying to like.
Yeah, I mean you again having a booking schedule of 5 gigs at ADE and going out there and doing it, whether you played to an empty room, whether you went out there and you played your set, you played the music you wanted to, you didn't no one grabbed ass, no one did it. You had your time. So it's like these little things, it's not like paying your dues, but it kind of is. It sets you up like your character as an artist because you have this kind of experience. And it sucks that you had to deal with like a shitty group of people that you went all the way over there with, and then for it to happen there.
It was very disheartening. And when I came back, along with being sick, like I was hit like with some depression about it. I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like, why am I even trying to DJ anymore? But pulled through, try not to focus.
You should.
Yeah, so it can be hard.
I can imagine. Well, the reason, like, do you want to do this anymore? It's gonna come down to you. So I think if you see a bigger picture for yourself, and you see like you keep figuring out like the same underlying reasons of why you're doing it, that's why you should DJ.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And that's why I decided to not quit. Good,
don't quit.
But it's like, it was motivating too, because I'm like, well, I may not be big enough to like be really a part of all these other groups I met with yet. But it was like even more inspiring to just like, okay, I'm gonna like make stuff and like be a part of some like even more like organized like legit group or label and like work towards that. Because I don't know, I kind of stopped. I'm like, why do I need a group? Or like, of course, like, DJ scenes, like everyone has their affiliation, and I do consider myself to be part of Frequency, which is Brussels.
I've been seeing their name around.
Christian. Yeah. So in Dance Music Initiative, the group who taught me to DJ, like there's loose affiliations, but it's like I just need to focus on the art more instead of worrying about who I'm a part of and like what it matters. Like it'll come. Yeah, I think.
It sounds like growing pains. It's like you had those 9 months where you were kind of trying to teach yourself. Then you really started taking it. You got involved in the scene in something you kind of had no idea about before.
Yeah.
And you found some bad eggs. You got associated with the wrong people. You had some bad experiences go down.
It sucks.
But
yeah, I've had ups and downs with a lot of people, or like people I thought were close and are not, and. You're constantly surrounded by like the same people. You don't really know like who's really has your best interest in mind, or like who just wants to like have you as a party friend. But if you actually need something, who's really going to be there? So you just gotta power through.
Again, with growing pains, it's like it's almost like a good character builder kind of thing, because now you're saying you want to go out a little bit less and focus more on the producing. You see the collectives that you otherwise shouldn't be associating with, and now you're kind of distancing yourself from that. You go to ADE and you play these gigs and you see what it's like to kind of take your art, kind of control it on your own and not be with them and kind of do your own thing. So all of this is coming from the fact that you had to deal with the bullshit.
Yes, and when it first happened, I literally hit up some of my... it's a miracle I seriously have some friends, because I like wig out sometimes. Like I freak out, and I texted one of my best friends. I'm like, why is this shit like always happen to me? Am I a fucking magnet for like negative crap? But now that it's all said and done, I'm finally like not like freaking out PMSing anymore. Like I can really like see that it did build character, and like there is good. It's just in the moment, it's like it's like when
it's
you're depressed, it's like focus on the positive. It's like I don't want to focus on the positive right now. I want to be negative.
I think everyone should don't try to not be negative ever, because that's bullshit for one.
You just need to go. I just need to go through it sometimes and just like be annoyingly like upset, and then I will see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah,
you just have to be strong. If you can be strong on your own and you don't need anybody else to like help you get out, which it sounds like you are, then by all means go and sulk and do your thing and come out when you're ready to come out.
My MO was like eat a lot of chocolate, watch Netflix, look at memes.
Sounds about right. Sounds about like a regular
memes.
It's like a regular
memes save lives.
It sounds like that's a big like part of the meme
I know.
thing.
I
just
try
keeps
not
coming
to.
back.
I know it really does. It's so funny.
I mean, it sounds like it helps you release. You get to post all your shit.
Yeah, like
on
I didn't
there.
realize how like obsessed with memes I was.
Yeah.
But it's such like an integral part of our society now. It's just really hilarious.
Yeah, early memes were like
MySpace. I remember posting memes on MySpace. Like I'm gonna be that person. I swear, I was like one of the first ones.
MySpace, hell yeah. Oh man, I couldn't. Oh my god, don't even start with MySpace.
I hope I deleted mine.
I had a fake email that wasn't even my email ever. It was like my screen name that I put at AOL.com, but I don't think that was like my actual email. So now whenever I try to like go to MySpace and do it, I don't have access to that email. I can't log in. It's still a website. I think Justin Timberlake bought it and he's using it with a group, like a buying group, and they're doing it as like a music based. Specifically, yeah. It's not like a social media platform anymore where people like have profiles, but I think artist profiles.
I hope they deleted my profile because there's some years in my life I'd like to forget.
Probably did not. Anything that's on the internet is still on the internet. Yeah, somewhere. It's in the cloud.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't go away. Yeah, MySpace. Oh, man. Anyway. Well, I think we've developed in social media because now memes where you were putting there, now the memes you can post and they're gone. Like you just have them for a couple seconds at a time, whereas MySpace, it's like there for everybody to see. Top 8, top 16, all that stuff.
Oh my gosh, that would cause fights.
Oh yeah.
Why'd you move me to number 3, man?
I've gotten in fights with like my girlfriend in like fucking middle school, whatever you want to call that. My girlfriend, like that I had my younger sister ahead of her, and it was like it's so fucking stupid.
It is.
Fuck all that.
Thank God Facebook doesn't have that.
Yeah, it's as close to it without actually.
I don't know who I would put because sometimes I don't know.
I know who I would put. But I would need like a little bit of a longer.
Just all my meme pages.
Yeah, do it. Do you make the memes yourself or do you find them in?
No, I find them. I definitely could make them. Yeah.
Oh wow, I thought you make those like personally.
I totally could.
You find those and post them. Oh wow, where the hell do you look to find those?
There's pages. I'm in like a meme group chat. Dude, it's like ridiculous. I have no life right now. People are gonna be watching this fucking like podcast and be like, "Why is this chick so obsessed with memes? Like, what a freak!"
Could follow her page and you'll find out. Those are the exact reasons.
I can't help that. I'm like a meme lord.
Meme lord, yeah. If it's on the Instagram bio, it's
right
part of your persona, and hopefully soon producing is gonna be more of a persona than the memes. I want to see some music.
I think so. I have a couple friends I'm working with who are experienced. I think that's like the first step. It's like working with other people.
Absolutely.
I've actually been doing like a consulting service by one of my favorite DJs. He has like online videos that he does just for like the people in this consultation. His name's DeMarzo, by the way. I'm like obsessed with him. That sounded really creepy. He's gonna listen. No. He's like such a
his
good.
Name sounded creepy, or the way you said
No,
that?
I'm obsessed with him.
Oh yeah.
No, he's like this really dope, like funky, like deep house DJ producer, and like creates all these Ableton videos, and it's been like super helpful.
Like a masterclass of sorts.
Almost, yeah. But you can like interact and like ask him questions like any time
it's like
of
live.
day.
It's live.
Yeah, like he uses this app called Discord, so it's almost like you've heard of it. Okay, cool. So. I know he just posted a video making a track like start to finish.
Nice.
So
that's super handy, especially if you're like kind of getting into it. Because I mean, with Ableton, I feel like it's something as much as you can kind of know it on the surface. There's probably a lot of like tips and tricks that you could use from more experienced producers that could be like, oh,
and especially a DJ you like to do that. Yeah, of course. Because sometimes I'll watch YouTube videos and either I have too many questions that they don't answer, or they're making music I'm like not a fan of. So it's like learning like what elements in, especially like house, like that I want in my own tracks, and I can see how it's actually being made.
So I was gonna ask, is that the genre? There's like just house music is what you're kind of leaning towards.
Definitely house. I'll have to find my sound because I definitely like tech house, but I also really love disco and like acid house. Like anything with like a really strong like funky bass line, I'm like a huge fan of. Like one artist I've been listening to a lot lately, his name is Dead Space, and he just has like the sickest bass lines in his songs. I'm like, dude, I want this because it's like such high energy. It's like awesome getting. I know, like, you know, everyone's a tech house producer, but hopefully I can like have some elements that like separate me at least a little bit. Yeah,
it sounds like, I mean, just again, your thought process of wanting to have that little separation. Once you create your sound or you start creating a track, you'll kind of start to like make sure that it has that little bit of a different sound to it than most tech house. I don't know if I can say I'm a fan of tech house. I think I can appreciate it in some settings, and I have some tech house artist friends that have been doing it for years that are fucking extremely talented, and it's not to knock the genre, but for me personally, I just don't party like that. I think that's what it is. Like I don't party to the point where I can kind of vibe with that as much as I do like just like roots house music and with disco samples and stuff like that. That's my shit.
I love disco. Like if there could be a possible thing, I was like disco tech house. I want to try to make it like
good.
acid disco tech house. That would be sick.
I
love disco. Like I love like
you
Joey
heard it here
Negro.
first.
Oh my gosh, if I could figure it out, it'll be amazing.
It's gonna take time, but again,
Yes.
if you don't go out and end up coming home like this, I think you'll be able to figure it out. Yeah, like fucking, I'm home. It's 5 a.m.
I'm like knocking into all that furniture. My roommate's dog is
so
flipping
unnecessary.
out. Oh, they probably think I'm such a degenerate.
Yeah, yes. That
I mean,
you
I
are
am,
at
but
that
that's
point.
besides
You are
the
at that
point.
Yeah, yeah. At that point, if you're knocking stuff over at 5 a.m.
Oh God,
Half of
I've
you.
been that person. But
I
sometimes
think
I
we
do
all
that
have.
sober.
Yeah.
So it's not my fault. I'm just a very clumsy
klutz.
person.
Yeah, you're just a klutz at that
Yeah.
point. Okay, where can people find you on social media? What do you have coming up? What can people expect from Red 5?
So
Maybe something else soon.
yeah, so I don't have a Facebook page because I didn't know if I were to keep this name or not for. Well, it'll be So you can find me on Instagram at I am Red 5, all spelled out. That's kind of my only. Well, SoundCloud,
Okay.
SoundCloud.com/DJ Red 5, and I have mixes on there. Eventually, music.
Yes.
And then I'm on Facebook as my actual self.
You can reveal
Which
your...
is Natalie Cunningham. I can
Yeah.
decide if I'll add you or not on
yeah,
that.
that's on
So I have
you.
like
That's
a
whole
lot
nother
of people.
story.
But yeah, that's it for now.
Yeah. Any shows coming up? Anything coming?
As of right now, I don't know if it's like official, so I don't want to like say it, and then they'd be like, "Wait, no."
Yeah.
So there might be
Tentative.
something. There might be something tentative on the 19th
Of November.
of November.
Okay.
And I will post that on Instagram.
Perfect.
So hopefully that happens.
Keep an eye out. Follow. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming out. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks
your
for
time.
having
I hope
me.
you don't have to hit too much traffic on the way back home.
I hope
I think
not.
you should be fine
I
at this
think,
point.
I think going south is easier.
Yeah, usually coming up here. I don't know.
Well,
You're in LA. You're hopefully
There's
you don't
traffic
live.
at all. I don't know how you people live up here. I'm sorry,
You
but like,
people.
what the
You
people?
people.
How do you people
It-
do this? Like, I like parking spots.
It's bad. There's just, I mean, the streets were made in like the 20s. We already signed off, but we're just going to keep talking anyway.
Okay.
Whatever, it's fine. The streets, I think, were like built in the 20s when there was like horse-drawn carriages
Are you
and very
serious?
small cars. And just in general, yeah, I think the roads were built in the 20s, but the amount of cars that were on the road back
It's
then
too
compared to
much.
now, it's like, I don't know if they've made too much change to the infrastructure. That's why you always see fucking freeways having to be rebuilt and extended out.
Oh my god, the
because-
construction is driving me crazy. There's so much construction in my house lately too. It's like never ending.
Yeah, no, it is never ending. Especially living in Glendale, there's always construction.
But it
There's
seems
always
like it's a little
detours.
more spaced out than LA. Like driving up here, I wasn't super stressed out. 'Cause sometimes, God, I go to LA and I get stressed like driving. Like I have a friend I just visited, and he lives right next to Staples Center.
Oh,
and I
fuck
seriously
that.
almost had a panic
Fuck
attack.
that.
Like trying to find parking. I had to pick him up. I was like, "Where do I go now?" Like,
No,
that.
that
And
sounds awful.
I had to like pay. Well, he paid for parking. Thank
Right.
God. Yeah, like a parking all day parking lot.
Mhm,
I'm just like, what the F? Like, where do you park? Like, do you fly to work?
That would be ideal. Downtown is
That'd be
literally. I have accounts for work that I haven't. I dropped all of them. Trying to look for parking and trying to navigate around
Really?
all the one ways and stuff. It wasn't worth it.
It's scary,
Fuck
especially
that.
like late at night. People are always going like the wrong
Yeah.
direction on one-way street. I'm like, dude, this is
I
like
have
way too crazy.
I have before many times in downtown because we
It's
host a lot
hard
of
not
nights.
to, but it's like the way they're designed. So it's just like
You just turn
it's like
into-
you're being set up for like disaster.
Yeah, well, hopefully you don't get into
Fuck.
any of that. But
Hope
thanks for
not
coming
either.
out. Thanks for tuning in, guys.